Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. It's a very good Friday, Wolfie, and welcome to a Trade Watch. And this is just a general share advice and not personal advice. And Wolfie, to tell you why it's a very good Friday. Did you watch the Ashes last night?
Oh, shut up about the Ashes. I tell you what, I have to say again, it's 4 out of 4 they've won the toss, right? We've lost now. We've lost Lyon. We've lost Stark. I mean, can you guys get it in easier than this, or what?
Anyway, can I give you some good news? Really good news for Australia.
Good news for us?
They've got rain is forecast for the whole weekend.
Please, save us.
I think that
divine intervention now.
I think you are. I think divine intervention is most probably on the way, right?
Oh,
but I think that guy Crawley scored a fantastic knock of 189, and I think he chanced his arm a little bit. He got a bit lucky.
No, look, you need a bit of luck. I think if you go for it, you're being aggressive. I mean, Australians have been always pretty aggressive and they've been lucky when they scored the 100. So I've got no issues with that, Dave. I've got no issues whatsoever.
Okay. Well, were you a batsman?
Good on you. I'm a very impartial judge with everything, Dave.
Were you a batsman or bowler?
Me? Yeah. I was pretty much a bunny for everything, Dave.
A duck. You're a duck.
A duck, none for 100. You know how it goes.
That's all right. It's okay.
I was a very good because cricket wasn't my sort of thing. I played indoor cricket a bit, but I then became umpire. I've actually joined like the Association of Umpires.
Can I be honest? You would enjoy cricket a lot more in England, right? Because it's actually not so much about the cricket; it's about the tea and the drinks afterwards. Pub cricket in England's the best cricket in the world. It's more of a Pete. It's more of a social event, right? It's more fun.
Yeah. But I enjoyed being an umpire, and I remember I used to be an umpire for cricket, so I enjoyed the association. I only did it for 1 year, like C grade or D grade, right? But I did it, and I enjoyed it, and I did a bit of soccer refereeing, but one of the things that was most pleasing for me was when people came up and said, "Thank you, you were very impartial." I mean, that is the best thing about someone telling you that you were the most impartial referee they've ever had, like for the season.
All right, that's very good. Well,
it's in my nature to be very impartial about everything I talk about.
Okay, well that brings us into some shares we're going to talk about today. So again, I want you to be as impartial as you always are.
Yeah, go on.
And let's talk. We've got some announcements, and then we've had a look at maybe 6 or 7 trends that we quite like. There's not much on the market at the moment, but we'll have a look at those trends. But first of all, some stories that have had announcements out today, and the first one is VHT.
Yep.
Which actually not looking too bad on the charts, Wolf.
I tell you what, I'm a buyer of this, and I tell you why I'm a buyer of this, because they are well ahead of schedule on becoming cash flow positive. I think they said they are a year ahead of schedule, right? Became cash flow positive and so on. So from a fundamental story-wise, it's pretty good, right? We know breast density imaging is big, and it's probably, very, very crucial for women out there. So for me, this sort of resonates one way. Second of all, they are improving their cash flows and they are ahead of schedule. That's true. So if you put all these things together, you look at the quarterlies, they are improving. It is still going to be probably a little bit, one great quarter, maybe one so okay quarter and so on. So it's not going to be fully brilliant all the time, but they are heading in the right direction. So for me, as an investor, I can see a lot of green shoots, a lot of positivity. And if they keep going at this rate, this is going to look better and better with time. So
and Wolf, there's always going to be breasts, isn't there? No, there's always a demand.
That's exactly right, Dave. I mean, well said.
Right. That's why
50% of us, right, will probably need...
Well, even man boobs now. A lot of guys.
Yeah, well, Dave, you're probably very close to being, in that category, aren't you?
Yeah. So I might need VHT. Okay.
No, but seriously, I think it's a very good company on the up. I like the fundamentals of it. The market's getting warmed up, and even though we got a red candle this week, I think that's going to swing. I think that's going to swing and go back to that head towards $1.20. I think people will start getting really excited with this.
All right.
But maybe don't buy it this week. Just wait for that swing first before you do it. But like I said, I'm a buyer of this when it swings again.
All right, IPG and acquisition, and the market's sort of liking it.
I mean, too, Dave. I like this acquisition. It's actually very cheap. they're buying it at around 4 times EBITDA, right? For a market in this sort of instance, I think that's pretty good buying. They said it's EPS accretive straight away. So for me, positive. They don't, like I said, it's sort of suits what they do. Everything you look at it and you go, that's a good decent buy. I'm still going to hold on to this. They don't have to raise any cash. It's looking good.
So maybe, but still, I mean, you should keep it stop just under that 450, I suppose.
Yeah, agreed. Yep.
If you're an aggressive trader. Okay, SSM. What's going on there?
On the up, on the back of contract wins here. So we've had a few of them recently. More today, another 330 million worth. That's pretty decent, but the margins of SSM are so thin. But if you can get a billion, 2 billion worth of revenues, you can still make a decent profit out of it, right? Even if small margins, and this is what they're heading towards. So for me, NBN contract, AGL contract adds up to about 333 million. There's definitely positivity in the story, but there's a bit of resistance. So maybe not for me at the moment.
All right. IPG.
Yeah, we've done that.
We've done that. CRN.
Yeah, look, I'm actually liking this update from CRN. I think it just shows that the metallurgical coal is fairly resilient, even though the prices have come down. We know that, but it's probably better than thermal coal right now. And if you look at the iron ore, you'd sort of classify both together in the same space because they obviously used to making steel. So for me, it's pretty good. So once it gets over that resistance right there, Dave, I think maybe there's a trade there.
Wolf, but okay. I know you can't, with these sort of businesses, you can't really look at P ratios because they can fluctuate too much.
Yep.
But the dividend, 13.49%.
Yeah. But again, that's probably in the classifier. You can't look at that dividend either too much because it can fluctuate from one year to the next. However, if you can in 1 year pick up a 14% dividend, if that's 40%, upside already you've got. So that's pretty good. So look, it does work, but you can't expect that every single year, right? That's the only thing I'm going to obviously add to this, that if you are buying it for the dividends, you can't hang on to that 40% because next year could be 5%, for example, right? If the cash flows diminish, and they will probably diminish because costs are going up, and the price of coal that they got last year is about, I think, 50% down which they got this year, right? So they have come down, but they're still going to probably make some money on this, that's why I'm sort of thinking that could be a trade there if the market stays fairly stable in the iron ore price or steel price.
And that dividend is just estimated. We don't know definitely yet, obviously.
Exactly.
M17 Wolf is still going.
And you can see the reason why. I mean, it's the big contract win was the first one that really sparked everyone's interest. They just added another small little contract, right? But that's how you do it. You just keep winning those contracts, right? I mean, you can't ask for any more. So I'm still liking this. I still think that this is one for the up. Again, very similar to VHT for me. On the upside, market's getting quite interested. It's probably ahead of VHT in their cash flows because I think they are cash flow positive. So there's more, maybe even more to like this one at the moment.
All right. Lastly but not least, it's in a trading halt dubber.
Yeah, I want to bring out the actual numbers here for me, the quarterly numbers, because it's actually fun to read, Dave. So I've
got something here.
Yeah, go right at the bottom where the cash flows are, and we'll see. So look, the reason I wanted to bring it up, there's two things here, right? So first of all, they've gone into the trading halt because I think they're going to raise some cash. But keep going down where the cash flows are. Okay, you've got the wrong one. I don't want the actual presentation. I want the actual cash flows. If you can bring it up.
Okay, yeah, I've got it here.
But let me just talk about this, right? So, he obviously did pretty well during the pandemic because it was one of those tech stocks that was growing quite nicely. It's sort of the growth has slowed down, but from this year, I think they're predicting 30 million. Well, they're not predicting; they've got 30 million in revenues this financial year. Okay, so go up a little bit higher, a little bit higher. Keep going up. First page, keep going up. One more page. Yeah, right there. Leave it right there. All right. So you've got 36 million in cash flow, right? Sorry, yeah, receipts from customers. But look at that negative 50 million, Dave. The cash outflows. They lost 50 million in cash going out. So they need like almost 100 million for them to become cash flow positive, right? I mean, that is crazy numbers, how much they've actually lost, 50 million. So what are the positives? Why am I talking about this? Because from 36, they're talking about 50 million. So they're talking about 50% growth rate at the top line, right? So that's a positive. I mean, 50% growth rate for FY24 is pretty good. Then they're also talking about that from the 50 million outflow, they're looking to 20 million outflow. So they're going to reduce that 50 million to 30 million. So by 30 million to 20 million. So I'm wondering how the market will react to that improvement on the bottom line. And the top line improvement as well, because it's, you know, it's a story that I'm still liking that product that they've got, right? The double product. But, you know, it's still not, I'm not going to touch it at all because it's still fairly dodgy out there in this sort of things. But, you know, I'm fascinated to see the huge improvement out of this company, whether they can actually find some traction from the investors out there. So I don't know. I'm always on the lookout for the dogs that become maybe tradable in a way. So look, huge improvement. So we'll see how their market reacts. They're obviously trading hold. They're going to raise some cash. So let's see, probably on Monday, see what they come up with. But I mean, look at those cash flow, minus 50 million. I'd just be going, oh my God, what are they spending their money on? what's the money? Are they, you know, flying with gold jets and having gold toilets in there?
So, yeah, it's a little bit of a, yeah, they're raising now. I mean, you think what they got, 40 million?
They'll probably raise another 30 million, I'd say.
You think, gosh, can you imagine 40 million? What you could do?
Who would give them money? That's what I want to know. Who's going to give them money again to go, oh, yeah, just use it on, you know, whatever you want.
Look at that. There we go. Cash and cash equivalent, 32 million. I don't know.
No. Look, like I said, I wouldn't be touching this much, but I'm just fascinated to see the massive turnaround. You know, the strong drive by the management now to really address everything, really, and still drive the actual growth. So let's see. You know.
All right, look, Wolf. Quickly, we looked at some shares that look good, right? And obviously, you've got your Ausbiz moment today.
Yep.
And some stocks that we had a look at, and we obviously, I think that VHT looks very, very good, and would definitely be on Einstein's. That VHT, which you said, you know, I think it can go on with it. Oz Forex, if it could end the day looking like that, certainly looks interesting. You picked quite rightly NWL, and it's looking a little bit better. It was this morning, Wolf. And again, a nice little breakout. So I think interesting chart. QBE with a buy signal. You know, it's knocked on the door a few times. I mean, I think it's looking pretty good. Qantas, okay, we're a little bit iffy, but it's not bad price action. POY, which is interesting, an old favorite, jumping above the trend line. You know,
that's really strong point. Is there some sort of M&A activity maybe behind the scenes somewhere? I mean, that's interesting, that big strong candle this week.
NEU has a really awesome buy signal. So again, it's sort of trended and traded really well, this story, but it's always been expensive. That's the only issue. But a fantastic chart. And MAQ, which you started, as you said, starting to swing a little bit. So Wolf, there's a few ideas there, right? I don't think you know, maybe a sort of safer, more mature play would be Sols, looking very good, but a few ideas that people can have a look at today anyway.
Agree. I think it's coming into the end of the week. Not a great finish, of course, and we had that big massive fall on the Nasdaq last night on the back of Tesla and Netflix. Disappointing in a way, or maybe just profit taking in a way, right? After a really strong run for the Nasdaq and some of these tech stocks out there. So, you know, there's not a strong conviction I've got to any of the trades right now, I have to say. So we'll just have to see how the market finishes on Friday. But, you know, at the end of the day, there's still some trades out there for sure.
Yeah, and I'll just look at our market, look at our chart. Yeah, it's still okay. Yes, it's flat for the week, but you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
No,
on that,
pretty interesting, isn't it? There's just not much direction this week.
All right, Wolf, go and have your hair cut, mate. We're live in about an hour. Look smart.
Okay.
Trim those side burns.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See you, Wolf. Bye, mate.